I love it. Hugs just for walking on stage. Good evening. Oh, thank you. I would like to take this opportunity to end a very old argument. You've probably heard it a million times. It maybe has even been talked about around your dinner tables. Well, fear not, audience of total strangers. I have the answer for you. Yes, I, simple writer and occasional piano bar devotee, Lance Werth, have the answer to that nagging, eternal question. Nature or nurture? Am I gay because of some complex biological process, like the reason my hair is ashy brown and thinning? Or is it something about the way I was raised, like too many Barbie dolls in the house? After a lot of thought on this subject, I can say now to you, tonight, with total certainty, it's nurture. How do I know? It was the summer of '79. I was 6 years old. My family had spent the day touring Dodge City, Kansas. Dodge City was home to legendary Boot Hill, which was a gunslinger cemetery that was turned into an Old West experience, complete with a blacksmith, jail, and stables with chickens and horses. They even had a shootout where fake cowboys shot fake bullets at each other. At least I think the bullets were fake, but it's Kansas, so you never know. I, my brother Sean, and sister Andrea were in cowboy kid heaven. So why were Sean and Andrea fighting like it was the OK Corral? Dad had had enough. One more word out of either of you, and we are not going to the movies tonight. I knew that would put an end to it. I mean, my younger brother and sister did not want to miss the Muppet movie that evening. So why were they still slapping each other with their authentic plastic Boot Hill gun holsters? That's it. Movie night's canceled. I don't want to be seen in public with you wild Hanyaks. Now get in the car. I'm sorry. For those of you who are not hip to German slang, Hanyaks is what you call your children when they're acting like little shits. I cried. I cried hard because I wasn't causing any trouble. I was being good. And shouldn't good kids get to see the Muppets? I pleaded through tears and snot to my parents in the front seat for the hour-and-a-half long ride home, pausing for dramatic effect to see if it was working. Mom turned to Dad. Since Lance was good, why don't you take him to the movies tonight, and I'll keep Sean and Andrea at home. Maybe he took pity on me. Or maybe he just wanted a night away from my mother and the Hanyaks. Fine. I was so smug all the way home. I was getting to see the Muppet movie, and my siblings weren't. The car had barely stopped in our driveway when I jumped out and ran inside the house and brushed my hair and put on my Electric Mayhem t-shirt. I proudly held Dad's hand as we walked up to the village cinemas, ready for my rainbow connection. Dad went up to the ticket window. 1 adult and 1 child for Escape from Alcatraz. I must have heard wrong. We were seeing the Muppet movie. Escape from Alcatraz is rated R, sir, the ticket lady huffed as she looked at me over her larger-than-her-face glasses. Well, I'm his dad, and I'm rating it I don't give a crap. 2 tickets for Escape from Alcatraz. She slid our tickets under the glass. I looked up at Dad, about to inform him of the horrible mistake he just made, when he looked down at me. Our eyes met, And I knew at that moment that I was not seeing the Muppet movie. We were seeing Escape from Alcatraz. Because for once in his recent life, my dad was going to do something he wanted to do. Not something his boss at UPS wanted him to do, not something my mom wanted him to do, and not something that his kids wanted him to do. Something he wanted to do. So I sat quietly next to him in the theater, munching my popcorn, unsure of what was about to happen. I mean, what was an Alcatraz? And why did you want to escape it? Would this movie have any puppets in it at all? What is the big deal about this rated R thing? The lights went down. A Dr. Pepper ad and some movie trailers played. I wanted to ask my dad why no one could hear you scream in space, but I decided against it. I was going to be good. The movie started. There he was, the star of the movie, Clint Eastwood, tall, stoic, tough, and growly. He emerged from a boat in a San Francisco rain, only to be marched through the halls of Alcatraz, which is a much bigger jail than the one in Dodge City. I looked over at the popcorn my dad held and dug into it, paying careful attention not to drop any of the greasy kernels on his pants. I looked back up at the screen. It was dark. 3 forms walked down a corridor, the only sound, the slap of Clint's bare feet against the concrete floor. Suddenly, Clint walked into a shaft of light, and there it was. Projected, larger than life on the screen above my head, shining like a glorious moon. My first bare movie ass. The shot lasted only for a moment, but in that moment, Clint Eastwood's ass was eternal. A hairless beacon of light in a cold, dark world. I looked down and grabbed more popcorn, not as carefully this time. I turned back to the screen, but Clint's butt was gone. Where did it go? Would I ever see it again? No sooner had I thought it than the universe answered me with a prison shower scene. Oh, the butts. More movie butts than I could have dreamed of. Tall ones, short ones, old ones, young ones, dry ones, wet ones, white ones, even whiter ones, firm ones, flappy ones. My eyes were full of butts. I felt like a switch in me was flipped on. I'd seen Clint Eastwood's naked butt, and I liked it. I'd seen him showering with other men, and I liked it. He talked about a spoon that looked like it's been sticking in someone's ass. I didn't know if that was an option. But if it was, I was gonna like it. Clint Eastwood had opened something up in me, the love of the male body. And from that moment on, I knew I loved men, especially naked ones. So screw you, Kermit and Miss Piggy. I had Clint Eastwood's butt. As I left the theater holding my father's hand, he looked down at me, and for a moment I wondered if he had sensed the change in me, if he knew the amazing new feelings I was feeling. Did he like Clint Eastwood's butt as much as I did? Don't tell your mom I took you to an R-rated movie. I understood that wouldn't be the only secret I would have to keep that night. I wouldn't be able to talk with my dad about my male booty love. I would have to be a good boy and keep my newfound desires to myself. So, the question of the evening, nature or nurture? It's nurture, because Clint Eastwood's butt made me gay. Thank you.